Coming up, we learn more from the nation's top professional organization for Indigenous journalists. Plus, all things sports. One tribal leader reflects on her citizen making it to the Super Bowl. And Dan Ninham tells us about a new Hall of Fame honoring Indigenous athletes. I am Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for those interviews, plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University is a proud supporter of Indian Country Today. Students at Cronkite News and Gaylord College at the University of Oklahoma cover Indigenous communities together. This important work is distributed by more than 100 news organizations. This collaboration provides a much-needed boost to coverage of Native American communities nationwide. Learn more at cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
This is the ICT Newscast with Aaliyah Chavez.
Amarawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. Tribal nations are getting more funding for broadband. On Tuesday, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration awarded $1.5 million in funding as part of the Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program. These 3 additional grants are being awarded to the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and 2 Alaskan villages. The Alaskan grants will fund broadband use and adoption projects, and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians will use theirs for a grant for a planning study. The agency within the Department of Commerce now has given 7 awards totaling around $4 million. In a press release, the NTIA stated it will announce additional awards on a rolling basis as the agency goes through a review process. In North Carolina, Indigenous communities are receiving $10 million in state funds. The goal is to help support programs and services to help with pandemic recovery. A majority of the budget will be going to North Carolina's 7 state-recognized tribes, including the Lumbee, Coharie, and Meherrin. Pamela Cashwell is the Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Administration. She said in a statement, "While money cannot replace lives lost, our hope is that this funding will help build or restore vital programs and services which assist individuals and families in recovery from the pandemic." The tribes will also receive general appropriation funds to help research further into the impact of the pandemic on North Carolina tribes. The city of Apache Junction in Arizona has a new police chief. Michael Pulley was sworn in on Monday night. City officials believe he is the first Native American to serve as chief of police in any non-reservation city in the state. Prior to this, Pulley, who is both Hopi and Navajo, was an assistant chief of police for the city of Tempe. He served that department for 20 years before retiring on January 12th. His parents were in the audience to watch him being sworn in, as well as his sisters and other relatives. The chief's wife pinned his badge on him before he said a few words. Pulley's experience includes leading his last department's Emergency Operations Center to combat the coronavirus pandemic. He also has experience in both the Special Investigations Unit as well as data and technology.
I have a passion for this profession that is something that has never gone away. If anything, the fire has been kindled and it's burning as bright and as strong as it's ever been. And I hope those that are near me and next to me and serving with me can feel that warmth and can feel that support from me on a daily basis.
He says his father never wanted him to be a police officer because of discrimination he faced from officers when he was young. Pulley and 1 brother and sister also became officers, and he says his father is extremely proud of them because they are helping to change the culture. An indigenous community in Mexico is defending its forest from gangs and illegal logging. For years, the township of Cheran has been protecting its pine-covered hillsides from avocado plantations that drain local water supplies. Though avocados offer farmers large profits, growers are subject to extortion by drug cartels. Inspired by Perpetua Indigenous women fighting against illegal logging in 2011, the town armed itself and blocked the road to reclaim their land. The decade-long political revolt began with the Indigenous townspeople declaring themselves autonomous and forming their own government. The community believes the patrols have been successful and have continued them for the last 10 years.
We formed a group of forest rangers to stop the logging of pines and oaks in the mountain. That's why, to date, we keep patrolling, to take care of the forest and not allow farmers to come and plant avocado, which damages the environment.
Locals say the climate has nearly returned to normal, with native plants and wildlife thriving once again. Well, keep a lookout. 3 Indigenous women are hitting the ice at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. The women are professional hockey players from the U.S. and Canada. Abby Rock, who is Ojibwe from the Wanapate First Nation, grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. She is one of 4 athletes featured on the Olympic preview cover of Sports Illustrated. Jocelyn Larocque and Jamie Lee Rattray are both from the Métis Nation. All 3 of these Indigenous athletes will face each other on February 7th when Canada and the U.S. meet in the pre-medal round. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. Coming up, we get the scoop from the nation's top organization for Indigenous journalists. And from the Super Bowl to hockey, we have more on sports. The Native American Journalists Association is the nation's leading professional organization for Indigenous journalists. Its mission is to support Native journalists and to hold the media accountable for reporting responsibly on Native communities. Francine Compton is a 2-term president of NAJA, and she joins us now to share the latest updates from the organization. Hi, Francine. Welcome to our newscast.
Hi, Aaliyah. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So let's jump right in. A large part of NAJA is the yearly conference. What updates do you have for us with the next conference?
Well, the next conference is going to go ahead as planned. We want to be able to provide this for our members. We want to be able to get together. We've postponed it for a couple of years now, and we really are looking forward to having that gathering. I've actually phrased this as it's like a gathering of nations for journalists. That was the feeling that I had the last conference when it was in Minnesota, and I really look forward to us doing that again. I know a lot of people are probably thinking conference in person, maybe not right now, but we're doing this in August. We are monitoring COVID regulations as they're evolving. And today is actually a deadline. Today is a deadline for anyone to submit conference proposals. And so we're really getting everything, our ducks in a row for that conference. Our conference committee is working very hard on that. And while I have your time, I just want to jump right to it and get everything out there. I have very exciting news to share with you this morning that we've voted in favor of hosting our next conference in 2023 in Winnipeg, Canada.
And is this the first time that it's happened internationally or in Canada?
It's actually not the first time. I'm glad that you asked that. In the history of this organization, there has been plenty of ties to Canada. We have always had founders from both sides of the medicine line. We've had members from both sides of the medicine line. Conferences have been held in this country before, and so I'm really looking forward to us going back to those roots and breaking down some of those barriers that we may see with that border, which we know as the medicine line between us.
I think this is a great conversation, and especially for our viewers to learn more about this conference. For someone who's never been there before, sort of illustrate what it's like.
Another great question, Aaliyah. I'm so glad that you asked that because I haven't had a chance to really express that point of view. When I was a young journalist, I was getting in my training. I went to my first journalism conference, and it was the Canadian Association of Journalists. I flew out to a big city, and I was surrounded by all of these big journalists and people who've been in the industry for so long. And I really felt quite intimidated. I was looking for where is my place among this conference? Which seminars do I fit into? And, what kind of networking am I going to do here? So I really struggled to find my place within that conference. And that is not to say that it wasn't a great conference. I just had a different experience when I went to my first NAJA conference in Minnesota. It really felt like a gathering of nations. I felt pride when the drum groups came out. I felt pride to see powwow dancers. And in a big giant room filled with Indigenous journalists being honored for all of their great work on a variety of platforms. It's just such a wonderful experience. I could go on about it. All I can say to end that is that you have to be there to experience it.
And one of the really great parts about NAJA conferences is the small businesses that come and sell their jewelry. That's one of my favorite parts, is to, visit with the local community and to get to know them. And, so often they ask me a lot, what do you do? Where do you work? And it's just a really great space, I think, to be able to share more about you and your organization. And of course, as you said, to network with other Native journalists. I want to touch back to what you said earlier, which is really grooming the next generation of Indigenous journalists. Tell us what kinds of projects at NAJA are there currently for people who are coming up in the journalism industry?
Well, we have mentorships, we have fellowships and scholarships. We've really been able to gain so much attention from the industry because of the work that we're doing. And not only that, there is a real focused attention on Indigenous journalism, our stories, our communities. And that attention has really helped us build these partnerships. So I was really proud to sit down with NYU and negotiate the best possible scholarship that we could. And we brought it to our education committee. It's filled with experts who've been there, done that, and they provided guidance for the board as we were making that partnership. And we're so proud of that. It's full tuition, and it's also going on for its second year.
Well, we have you here. I have just one last question. What advice do you have for young people, or maybe, people who are mid-career who want to make a career switch and think journalism is something that I might be interested in?
I want to tell people that you can do it, that it's storytelling, and that it's the heart of our culture. That's the heart of our nations. That's the advice my dad always gave me, is that it's storytelling. That's the heart of it. And all of us have that in us. If we want those tools, we can find them and publish stories, tell stories on ICT Newscast.
Well, Francine Compton, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back. The Walker River Paiute tribe has been in the news recently. Tribal citizen Austin Corbett will join his team, the Los Angeles Rams, in Super Bowl 56. Amber Torres is the chairman of the Walker River Paiute tribe, and she's been celebrating Corbett's success. Hi, Chairman Torres. Welcome to the newscast.
Joe Wamawa, good morning from Walker River Paiute tribe. Thank you for having me this morning.
So Austin Corbett, tell us a little bit more about him and, how excited were you Sunday when he punched his way to the Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're beyond excited for his opportunity to star in this year's Super Bowl. I think they're going to take it. That's my prediction. We always want to try to support our tribal members in all their successes, but again, we're just beyond excited to see somebody who looks like us, who resonates with us, and want to cheer them on to victory.
What has been the reaction from other tribal citizens of Austin's success?
I think all of Indian country right now is excited. They're hearing the name Austin Corbett, and everybody's following our native Paiute brother to make sure he's on that road to success. I think the support and the excitement behind it right now is overwhelming, I could imagine, for him. But, it's also putting Walker River on the map as well, and, just encouraging that support from Indian country.
And I think also what's really exciting about that is so many people just need good news right now. And it seems like this is all coming at a great time.
Absolutely. Like I said, the excitement behind one of our own getting to the Super Bowl and following him and rallying around him and sending him good medicine. I feel it all across Indian country right now through social media and just on a local level here at home.
Have you had the chance to communicate with his family? How are they feeling?
I think they're beyond excited, just like all the constituents of Walker River are right now and Indian country. I've had a chance to talk to his mom on a few occasions, and we have a lot of his relatives here on the reservation, and continuing to follow his career through college, and even after that, in a couple of teams that he's played on, we're just again just overwhelmed with excitement for the opportunity to see him win the Super Bowl and become a champion.
Well, we're all really excited, and I know at ICT we'll continue following as well. While we have you here, Chairman, I'd really love to ask you about how your tribe has battled COVID.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak on that. We're in very uncertain times, but as tribes, we showed resilience and overcome and battled this invisible pandemic right now. And I think shutting our borders down, taking strong precautions, putting policies and procedures in place, looking at Indian country's best practices has got us to what I want to say controlled numbers here on the reservation. We've been able to control our COVID population, our COVID positive population, and keep our death to just a small handful, although very, very unfortunate and trying for our community. But, we are looking at incentives for COVID vaccination. We're continuing to do daily testing. We take care of our membership as far as grocery shopping, and, just continue to monitor and watch our reservation, watch the surrounding reservations around us as well.
Was the Omicron variant something that affected your tribe significantly?
We've definitely been hit with the newest variant that is out, and we've seen it take its toll on our reservation, although not as impactful as the Delta, but we've still been dealing with that diligently and making sure to control our numbers and again, putting safety precautions in place to prevent and prepare for the future.
You touched on this a little bit already, but I want to talk about vaccinations. What does the vaccination effort look like for you?
Right now we're at about 60%. We have about 900 that live on the reservation, although we're doing cash for vax. It's an incentive program where we're incentivizing right now that our tribal membership, across Indian country get vaccinated. And, we've seen that, be a success because I think the ultimate goal is that we reach herd immunization and protect our people.
And moving forward, is that something that you'll continue to push for so that, you do make it to herd immunity?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, the newest application that we put out is a booster application, which allows our people to also get an incentive for that as well. Like I said, there's a lot of historical trauma behind vaccinations, and we just need to continue to educate our people on the benefits of getting the vaccination and protecting themselves as well as the community.
Well, Chairman Amber Torres, thank you so much.
Jaiyu, thank you for the opportunity to join us today.
When we come back, more on sports. Stay with us. Well, there is a new Hall of Fame honoring Indigenous athletes. Today, for the first time, inductees were announced for the North American Indigenous Athletics Hall of Fame. This new honorary class recognizes outstanding athletes and organizations in Canada and the United States. Joining us today is Dan Ninham, who serves as the organization's executive director. Hi, Dan. Start us off by telling us a little bit about this year's class.
Well, we have 65 inductees, and they're from, as stated in the title, they're from Canada and the northern, the North American continent is what we're keying on. We're keying on Indigenous athletes, coaches, and a number of categories.
Tell us about some of the names in this year's inductee class.
I think of some of the names of Wilton Littlechild. He's Cree. He's a leader in the World Indigenous Games and the North American Indigenous Games. I think of Oren Lyons, a leader in lacrosse, the Iroquois Nationals, and a world peace leader as well. And there are so many, and everybody has a story. And the legacy of all of them are evident. We have a website that's going to be available. Well, it is up right now, and it's a work in progress that we're going to add more. We're having a semi-annual, so June 1st we'll be adding more, and we're focusing on the ones that are inducted today, 65 of them.
And I understand some organizations have also been inducted. Tell us about that.
We have the N7 Foundation. They did the Indigenous Bowl recently at the US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And they're a leader empowering football players to compete at the high level in high school, as well as to earn college scholarships and eventually get into the NFL. And we have the Iroquois Nationals 1999 U19 team that's also inducted. And Freeman Bucktooth, he mentioned that there's so many individuals that have gone on from that level to a higher level as we speak and are continuing to play. And I want to share that our Hall of Fame is, even if they're active competing at this time, that they can still be inducted at whatever category that they're in. We're not waiting a certain time period before we induct them.
One of the other major parts of this new Hall of Fame that struck me is the fact that industry leaders can also be inducted. Tell us about those individuals.
I did my research, and it's, I have a PhD, so I've retired 2 years ago as a longtime middle school physical education teacher with a PhD, chose to stay at the middle school level. But upon retiring, I thought I'd do extend into other doctor areas, and including our commitment. My wife, Susan, and I, we've had a lifetime career time commitment to Indian education, and that has taken us to where we are today. And so one of these areas here is to do this Hall of Fame. I think of the idea, in one sense, started only 3 weeks ago. And we came to this level. But I also look at it started 40 years ago. what I mentioned, Susan and I, we have made that commitment. We've probably connected with 3/4 of these 65 inductees throughout our career, and we've featured a number of them in different Indian communities in Minnesota and Wisconsin. And it's I just believe that it's another way that we can showcase our Indigenous athletes. I think of the other categories we have is the builders category. And the builders are the people who are doing sustaining program development in Indian country with athletics. So that's one area.
Dan, we only have a short time left, but I'm very curious if people want to learn more about this new Hall of Fame, where can they find more information?
Well, they can contact me at lowercase dan.ninham@rlnc.edu. Otherwise, look for it on a Google search, the North American Indigenous Athletics Hall of Fame.
Dan Ninham, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. Thank you for watching. I'd like to wish my mom, Mary Chavez Abeda, a very happy birthday today. Like so many moms in our communities, she is a superhero to me and my siblings. And today, I wish her many more rotations around the sun. Stay safe, my relatives. I am Aaliyah Chavez.
Sometimes you got to take a stand just because you know you can. Oh, you got to run, you got to run.